The modern world has forgotten how to breathe. We scroll, we rush, we plan, but we no longer inhale. We fill our lungs with anxiety and our days with noise, as if silence itself had become dangerous. There is a reason your chest tightens when you wake up, a reason your thoughts race faster than your pulse. You live in a civilization that replaced rhythm with reaction, and the first thing it stole from you was the breath. Every crisis begins with a forgotten inhale. Every burnout begins with an exhale you never released. We breathe as if we're surviving an invisible war. Each inhale a weapon, each exhale a surrender. You felt it, haven't you? That subtle panic when you realize you haven't actually breathed in minutes. That instant when your body begs for air but your mind, too busy surviving, whispers, "Not now." The world rewards speed, not stillness, noise, not depth. But anxiety is the tax you pay for existing out of rhythm with the universe. There is an invisible contract being broken every day, the one between your lungs and your soul. You think you're out of time, but in truth, you're just out of breath. When the mind races faster than the inhale, the body begins to drown in open air, and we call that modern life. You were not designed to live breathless. You were designed to flow, like tides, like planets, like galaxies turning in silence. The Hermetic texts call this the law of rhythm. Everything has tides, everything rises and falls, and to fight this rhythm is to collapse within it. But no one told you that anxiety is not weakness. It's dissonance. It's the vibration of a being out of tune with its own breath. Your anxiety is not the enemy. It's the echo of your forgotten rhythm. Listen, your breath is speaking. It says, "Slow down. Return to me." When the air leaves your lungs, it carries your illusions with it. When it returns, it brings you clarity. Inhale, creation. Exhale, dissolution. Inhale, order. Exhale, surrender. This is not philosophy. It's physics of the soul. Everything vibrates. Everything oscillates. Even your silence has a frequency. And when you forget to breathe, you stop resonating with life itself. You become an instrument out of tune with existence. That's why the world feels heavy. It's not the weight of your tasks. It's the absence of rhythm. You are carrying static energy that was never released. Thoughts, fears, emotions, all trapped between two incomplete breaths. Observe yourself right now, without changing anything. Just notice. How does your breath move? Does it reach your abdomen, or stop halfway as if afraid of descending too deep? That hesitation, that's where your pain lives. The breath stops where the truth begins. You see, the mind fears the exhale, because exhaling means letting go. It means losing control, and the ego was built to hold. But the Hermetic masters taught that every form is born to dissolve, that life is a dance between solve et coagula, to dissolve and to reform. You cannot transmute what you refuse to release. That's why you suffocate, not from lack of air, but from clinging to what should have already been exhaled. The lungs are your inner forge. Every breath you take is a ritual of transformation. Inhale, you draw chaos in. Exhale, you transmute it into order. But we forgot that the breath is sacred. We turned it into background noise. We let machines dictate its rhythm. Alarms, screens, notifications. The body moves, but the soul doesn't follow. So the rhythm breaks. And when rhythm breaks, vibration collapses. That collapse is what you call anxiety. It's not a malfunction. It's a message, a coded signal from the hermetic field of your own body telling you, you are out of harmony. Do you remember the last time you sighed? That unconscious moment when the body, desperate, forced a deep exhale. That was your spirit trying to reclaim territory. Because every sigh is a rebellion against numbness. Even the earth breathes, in tides, in seasons, in day and night. And yet, you forgot to breathe yourself. You became the only creature resisting the pulse of creation. The anxiety you feel is the distance between your breath and your awareness. Close that distance and what you call panic becomes presence. Look around. A generation gasping for validation. People scrolling, mouths slightly open. Lungs starving while minds overflow. This is the breathless age. The civilization that learned everything except how to exist. But here lies a paradox. The moment you notice your breath, you begin to wake up, because consciousness always enters through the inhale. That's why in ancient temples, the first initiation was breathing. Before learning words, symbols, or mantras, the adept was taught to breathe in rhythm with the universe. The ancient masters said, "As above, so below. As the stars inhale light, the lungs inhale life." When you breathe, you mirror the cosmos. Each inhale pulls the infinite into the finite. Each exhale returns your fragment to the whole. To breathe consciously is to remember your origin. To breathe unconsciously is to forget you are alive. The Hermetic law of vibration teaches, nothing rests. Everything moves. But what moves without rhythm becomes chaos. So anxiety is simply vibration without rhythm. A wave crashing upon itself, unable to complete its cycle. You can feel it in your chest, the unfinished wave. That trembling under your ribs? It's not weakness, it's power trapped in the wrong frequency. But every storm has a pulse. And even in chaos, there's a hidden pattern. You just need to listen. The breath is that pattern. The code, the master key that returns you to alignment. When you begin to breathe consciously, the nervous system recalibrates. The heart slows down. The brain waves synchronize with the inhale. The soul remembers its geometry. It's not magic. It's physics obeying the Hermetic laws. You don't have to believe, just breathe. Belief is mental. Breathing is universal. The breath is the only action you perform in both worlds at once, the visible and the invisible. Every inhale touches matter. Every exhale touches spirit. That's why the ancients called it the golden breath, because in that invisible act you unite heaven and earth. But to reach it, you must first face what you've been avoiding. The silence that follows a complete exhale. That silence is sacred. It's the void between cycles, the nigredo, the alchemical night. It's where transformation happens. It's where the old dissolves and the new begins to form. If you dare to stay there, in the pause without rushing to inhale again, you'll feel it. The hum of the universe inside your chest. That hum is you remembering. You've searched for peace in books, screens, and gurus. But the teacher was always the breath itself. Patient, constant, waiting. The universe breathes through you, not around you, and your healing begins the moment you let it. Maybe no one ever saw what you've been carrying. Maybe you've walked for years, holding questions no one could answer. You didn't find this by accident. Messages like this aren't pushed. They're pulled by the resonance inside you. And if something deep moved you, if this felt more like a memory than information, it means you've always carried the key. We're about to reveal what has always been waiting for you. And from this moment on, there is no return. If you felt something vibrate within you, click like right now. That gesture is your "I'm here," a sign that you too are listening with your soul. And through that one act, other seekers just like you may find their way back home. And if you're ready to walk further, touch the subscribe symbol below and join this living temple of conscious creators rewriting reality from its true source. Now, close your eyes. Inhale once, slowly, deliberately. Feel the air enter not just your lungs but your field. Hold it for 4 counts. Exhale for 7. Pause for 8. This is not a technique. It's remembrance. You are returning to the rhythm of the cosmos. Every sound, every heartbeat, every vibration, they all follow this same wave. And in that rhythm, there is no anxiety. There is only movement. The breath does not rush, it does not beg, it simply flows. Be like that breath. You do not need to fight your anxiety. You need to breathe it. Let it rise. Let it fall. Let it find its own tide. Because once you understand the rhythm, you realize the truth. The storm was never outside. It was your breath forgetting the ocean it belongs to. There is a rhythm that governs even the storm. And the moment you align with it, the storm obeys. You think anxiety lives in your mind. It doesn't. It lives in your field, in the invisible layer of vibration that surrounds you. The Hermetic masters called it the astral storm, a disturbance born when your internal rhythm breaks and your breath no longer obeys your consciousness. That is when something else begins to breathe for you. Something subtle, something ancient, something that feeds on the friction between your thoughts and your silence. This is the invisible enemy, not a demon, not a ghost, a vibration, a frequency that imitates your voice, moves with your pulse and whispers, faster. Every time you scroll, it feeds. Every time you rush, it grows stronger. Every time you forget to exhale, it tightens its grip. It is not evil, it is hungry. And what it devours is your presence. You feel it as restlessness, as the inability to sit still in your own existence. You confuse it with motivation, but it's actually consumption. You are not tired because of the world. You are tired because something inside you never stops running. This is how the enemy hides, by convincing you that chaos is natural, by making exhaustion feel normal, by turning disconnection into culture. And when the collective agrees to live breathless, the invisible enemy becomes civilization itself. It has no face, no flag, no leader. It is algorithmic. It speaks through dopamine spikes, through screens that flash faster than your heartbeat. It speaks the language of urgency. The Hermetic text, Corpus Hermeticum, warned, the greatest illusion of matter is speed, for in haste, the soul forgets itself. Anxiety is not speed, it is displacement. The soul loses rhythm and begins to spin, and the more it spins, the more you believe it's life accelerating. But life never accelerates. It expands. Only chaos accelerates. You can feel it in your body, that subtle tremor under your skin when you lie still, that shallow heartbeat that beats without music, that noise between thoughts that never stops humming. That's not you. That's the residue of energy without rhythm, vibration with no direction, thought without silence, motion without rest. You call it anxiety. The ancients called it disturbed breath. They believed every human was born with a rhythmic flame inside the chest, a sacred oscillation that keeps the link between body, soul, and cosmos alive. When the flame loses its rhythm, it flickers, and the field around you begins to fragment. Your perception becomes distorted. You mistake tension for alertness, exhaustion for purpose, numbness for peace. The invisible enemy thrives on that distortion, because as long as you're reacting, you're predictable, and the predictable mind is the easiest to control. Every culture had a name for it. The Egyptians called it Apophis, the serpent of chaos. The Gnostics, archons of noise. The Hermetics simply called it the great distraction. Its single purpose, to keep you breathing out of sync with yourself. Because if you ever remembered the real rhythm, if you ever breathed consciously for long enough, you would feel your power returning, and the storm would dissolve instantly. This is the secret. The invisible enemy cannot exist in coherent vibration. Where there is rhythm, it starves. Where there is silence, it loses form. Where there is conscious breath, it disappears. So it keeps you afraid of stillness. It fills the silence with notifications. It replaces your pulse with timelines. It turns attention into currency, and you into its battery. Every short inhale is an offering. Every unspoken word, a small surrender. And every anxious thought, a transaction. The modern mind is not just tired, it's harvested. Its energy converted into loops of reaction and distraction. The Hermeticists warned, whatever you do not command, commands you. If you don't command your breath, the world will. If you don't master your rhythm, the algorithm will. It's that simple. But the moment you decide to breathe consciously, you break the cycle. Because nothing artificial can imitate awareness. Awareness changes frequency, and frequency is everything. Your consciousness is a tuning fork. Every inhale retunes your field. Every exhale cleans the interference. This is the true meaning of purification. Not ritual, rhythm. Not incense, coherence. You cannot outthink anxiety. You must out-vibrate it. And vibration begins with breath. So the question is not, how do I calm my mind? The question is, can I reclaim the breath that I abandoned to chaos? Close your eyes. Listen. You will hear it. A faint pulse behind the noise, a rhythm that has been waiting patiently for your return. That is not your heartbeat. It's the universe breathing through you. Let it. Because right now the invisible enemy is listening too, and it fears nothing more than your silence. If you can stay silent long enough, if you can hold your awareness steady for a single full breath, the illusion begins to fracture. You'll feel it, the tremor subsiding, the mind widening, the storm losing its gravity. It's not metaphor, it's energy physics. Coherence always dissolves distortion. The Hermetic principle calls it the law of rhythm. And that law is not poetic, it's mechanical. Everything swings, everything returns, everything that leaves comes back. That means even your peace, even your breath. Even you are not lost. You are oscillating. And once you understand the swing, you no longer fear the extremes. You learn to ride the wave instead of drowning in it. Anxiety was never your weakness. It was your initiation, the test that reveals whether you can command energy or be consumed by it. Because anxiety is just rhythm forgotten, and rhythm can be remembered. The masters knew, to conquer the storm you must move with it. To conquer chaos, you must breathe through it. Inhale the tension, exhale the illusion. Repeat until the breath and the mind move as one. When that happens, the invisible enemy loses its grip, not because you fought it, but because you stopped feeding it. The breath is the oldest prayer, and when you pray with breath, the universe answers in rhythm. That's when the transformation begins. There is a rhythm that governs even the storm, and those who remember it command not the world, but themselves. Next, we reveal the hidden law behind every breath, the law of rhythm. Everything in the universe breathes. Stars inhale light. Galaxies expand and contract. Planets pulse in cycles of rotation and stillness. Even silence has rhythm. And what is your breath, if not the personal version of the cosmic tide? The same pattern that moves the sea moves the air inside your lungs. You are not separate from the ocean. You are one of its waves. When you inhale, you rise. When you exhale, you return. When you pause, you mirror the stillness between tides, the sacred moment where all movement rests. The Hermetic masters wrote, "Everything flows, out and in. Everything has its tides. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left." This is the law of rhythm. It means that every emotion, every thought, every storm inside you follows a precise wave. You suffer not because the wave exists, but because you forgot how to move with it. You try to resist the tide of sadness. You try to force the ocean to stay still. And yet, the harder you hold your breath, the more you drown in shallow water. Anxiety is the refusal to trust the ebb. Depression is the refusal to trust the flow. But balance is remembering that both belong to the same rhythm. When you inhale deeply, you tell the universe, "I am ready to receive." When you exhale completely, you whisper back, "I am ready to release." In this dance, life keeps its symmetry. You stop trying to escape the wave and you start surfing it. Your breath becomes your board, your awareness, the balance point, and the ocean, the universe that has been waiting for your return. Everything in existence swings, light and shadow, joy and sorrow, activity and rest. This swing is not punishment, it's law, and the one who understands the pendulum never fears its extremes. You can see it in nature. Day turns to night, winter to spring, heartbeat to stillness. The Hermetic law of rhythm says, everything flows between two poles. The art lies in mastering the swing. When you resist the swing, you suffer. When you move with it consciously, you master it. Your emotions are not enemies. They are waves of vibration, the pendulum of your consciousness exploring polarity. But the modern mind fights the swing. It wants only the high, the expansion, the dopamine of constant ascent. It rejects the contraction, the silence, the winter of the soul. That rejection creates friction, and friction creates anxiety. Anxiety is simply rhythm interrupted, a pendulum forced to one side, refusing to return to its natural center. But when you observe your emotions like tides, you begin to see their choreography. Every rise of tension is followed by release. Every contraction seeks expansion. Even pain carries the seed of relief. The key is not to fix the swing, but to observe it until you become the center. That center is found between two breaths. It's that infinitesimal silence, the moment between inhale and exhale, the point where rhythm and awareness meet. In that point, the pendulum stops, not in motion, but in meaning. You are not the swing anymore. You are the axis, and from the axis, you command the rhythm. This is what the Hermeticists called mastery of vibration, not to suppress emotion, but to ride it without drowning in it. So next time the wave comes, don't fight. Breathe. Let the breath complete what the mind cannot, because your breath knows what balance feels like. The mind forgot. Now close your eyes for a moment. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 7. Exhale for 8. That is not random. That is rhythm encoded into biology. 4. Creation. 7. The inner temple. 8. Infinity. This is the pattern the ancients used to reset the field, because every time you breathe in that sequence, you mirror the universal swing, the breath of the cosmos. It's not meditation, it's communication. The body speaks to the universe in rhythm. The universe replies in coherence. Every full breath restores the pattern of your electromagnetic field. It recalibrates the chaos, dissolves static emotion, and brings your mind back to the order of nature. The law works everywhere, from atoms to galaxies, from heartbeat to heartbreak. Even suffering obeys rhythm. Even confusion has a cycle. No storm lasts forever, because no rhythm holds tension without release. So if your life feels like constant high tide, remember, the ocean never forgets to retreat. You can anchor your peace to that law, not to hope, not to belief, to structure. The hermeticist does not beg for balance. He breathes it. He knows. When breath and rhythm unite, chaos dissolves by natural law. Because law answers law. This is the moment where knowledge becomes power. You begin to see that the universe is not chaotic. It is choreographed. Your breath is the conductor's baton, and anxiety was simply the music you forgot to lead. The first map awaits in the pinned comment. There is peace in rhythm, not the peace of stillness, but the peace of flow. To master rhythm is to no longer fight life, to exhale without fear, to know that what leaves always returns and what ascends always descends in equal grace. Every inhale is a birth, every exhale, a death, every pause, a resurrection. This is the secret the anxious never learned, that peace is not the absence of motion, but motion aligned with law. There is no anxiety in the breath that obeys the universe. There is only movement, and movement is freedom. But vibration goes deeper than rhythm. Rhythm is the body of the law. Vibration is its soul. Next, we enter the invisible current that shapes your emotions, thoughts, and energy, the breath of vibration. Every vibration begins in silence. What you call quiet is not emptiness, it's potential. It's the hum of creation before form takes shape. When you breathe consciously, you're not just moving air, you're tuning yourself to that primordial hum. Ancient texts said that the universe was sung into being, that every atom carries a tone, and every life is a melody unfolding through time. Your breath is your instrument. Your thoughts are the chords. Your emotions, the resonance. When anxiety takes over, it's not just psychological, it's musical dissonance, a note played out of tune with the universal scale. You can't silence it by force, you must retune it, and the first string to adjust is the breath. Observe, when you inhale shallowly, your vibration becomes erratic, your heartbeat quickens, your brain emits beta waves, rapid, scattered, fragmented. When you breathe deeply and slowly, your brain shifts to alpha, calm, rhythmic, receptive. This is not mysticism, it's physics of consciousness. Every breath you take sends a frequency through your nervous system. Every exhale reprograms the electromagnetic field around you. You are not trapped by anxiety, you are out of tune, and the breath is the tuning fork. When you begin to breathe consciously, your inner vibration aligns with the cosmic rhythm again. Your energy stabilizes, your perception clears. You start to hear what was always there beneath the noise, the resonance of your own presence. That resonance is sacred. It's the original note you were born with, the frequency of your being before fear altered it. The work of hermetic breathing is simple, to return to that original tone. When you breathe in harmony, the world around you starts to echo it. Reality bends, not by force but by resonance, because energy follows coherence. Close your eyes. Imagine a harp made of light inside your chest. Each string is a channel, emotion, thought, memory, dream. Now feel how each breath brushes those strings. If your breath is hurried, the sound is harsh. If your breath is calm, the sound is pure. This is your inner instrument. It responds instantly to every thought you have. Each sigh is a vibration, each emotion, a tone, each silence, a rest between movements. When you breathe without awareness, your harp plays itself, discordant, reactive, wild. When you breathe consciously, you become the musician. That's why hermetic breathing is not relaxation, it's command. You are not trying to calm down. You are taking the conductor's seat, because emotion is energy in motion, and energy obeys rhythm and vibration. The anxiety that once felt uncontrollable is simply energy that forgot its song. You can remind it. Breathe in for 4 counts. Feel the air enter your chest like a string vibrating. Hold for 7. Let it resonate. Exhale for 8. Release the note back to silence. Repeat. You'll notice that your heartbeat synchronizes with the breath. Your mind begins to listen instead of react. Your field, that invisible aura of vibration around you, starts to harmonize. This is how you dissolve anxiety, not by suppressing emotion but by changing its frequency. You don't destroy chaos, you retune it. Because all energy seeks harmony, all dissonance wants to resolve. The Hermeticist said, as vibration increases, form refines. That means that every time you breathe consciously, you are literally refining your own matter, transmuting density into clarity, fear into awareness. The more coherent your vibration, the less anxiety can find resonance in you. Anxiety cannot live in a field that vibrates in harmony. It simply dissolves, like noise fading when the right note is played. Presence is not stillness. It's vibration in perfect rhythm. It's energy so coherent that it no longer scatters. It shines. Every master you've ever admired, Buddha, Hermes, Jesus, Thoth, they didn't carry more energy than you. They carried clearer frequency. Their breath was perfectly attuned to awareness. They breathed not air, but consciousness itself. When you breathe like that, you stop reacting to the world. You begin to conduct it. The anxious person vibrates in fragmentation, reacting to every external pulse. The initiated person vibrates in coherence, making the world respond to their inner rhythm. That is the shift from chaos to command. And it starts with this. Listen to your breath right now. Not the sound of it, but the vibration it carries. Feel the warmth expanding with each inhale. That's energy reorganizing itself. Each exhale, that's release of static frequency. If you could see your energy field in this moment, you would see waves becoming smoother, colors brightening, chaos reorganizing into geometry. That geometry is sacred. It's the same pattern found in sound frequencies, the same spirals that form galaxies and cells. You are not breathing air. You are breathing order. You are breathing the very architecture of creation. Every conscious breath realigns your body to the structure of the cosmos. And when you live in that coherence, anxiety becomes impossible. Because anxiety is just the echo of disorder. And you now vibrate in harmony. If you're still here, this frequency is yours. This isn't entertainment. It's initiation. You felt it. That subtle coherence rising through your chest as you read. That's not coincidence. That's resonance. Stay with it. Subscribe and anchor this vibration within the field. Every breath you take here strengthens a network of awakened beings reclaiming the rhythm of the cosmos. You are not alone. You are part of the returning frequency. Now you understand. To breathe is to vibrate. To vibrate is to shape reality. This is the hidden alchemy of the breath, the transmutation of vibration into consciousness. The true Hermetic practitioner does not manipulate elements outside. He breathes them into order. He uses air as sacred fire. He transforms the invisible into the visible. Each breath is a forge. Each pause, a crucible. Each exhale, a release of dross. Through the breath, you command your inner weather. You are no longer at the mercy of emotion. You are its architect. And once you command your vibration, the external world begins to synchronize. People, events, opportunities, everything begins to align with the clarity of your tone, because coherence attracts coherence. This is how the Hermeticist walks through chaos untouched, not because he avoids storms, but because he carries his own atmosphere. That is your task now, to breathe as the universe breathes, to remember that every inhale is creation, and every exhale, liberation. This is the breath of vibration, the silent sound that rewrites your destiny from within. But vibration alone is potential. To transform it into gold, it must pass through the fire. Next, you'll enter the furnace of the soul, where breath becomes alchemy and anxiety becomes clarity. Welcome to the alchemical breath. All alchemy begins with fire, not the flame that burns the skin, the invisible fire that purifies what cannot be seen. That fire lives inside your chest. You call it heat, but the ancients called it spiritus ignis, the fire of spirit. Every breath you take feeds that fire. Every exhale releases its smoke. And in that constant exchange, your soul is refined. When the Hermeticists spoke of solve et coagula, dissolve and reunite, they weren't speaking only of metals. They were speaking of states of being. The inhale dissolves illusion, solve. The exhale condenses truth, coagula. Every full breath is an act of rebirth. This is the hidden meaning of transformation. To breathe consciously is to die and be reborn every few seconds. The anxious mind resists this process. It fears the death between breaths, the pause, the void, the silence. But that void is the very chamber of transmutation. It's the nigredo, the black phase of alchemy, where chaos burns away and essence is revealed. If you can stay there, in that pause between breaths, you'll begin to feel it, a warmth rising from your center, a pulse that is not physical, a quiet, knowing whispering, you are changing. This is the fire of consciousness, and your breath is the bellows. Now that the inner forge is lit, the breath becomes the tool. The sequence is ancient. It was written in temples, preserved in silence, passed through breath, not words. Here's how the alchemists practiced it. Step 1. Inhale for 4 counts. The number 4, the square, the element, the foundation. It calls the scattered energies back into your field. As you inhale, imagine drawing light from every direction toward your center. Step 2. Hold for 7 counts. 7, the sacred number of transformation, the time it takes for vibration to stabilize into form. In this pause, the light you've gathered begins to refine itself. Don't fight the stillness. Let it heat you. Step 3. Exhale for 8 counts. 8, the symbol of infinity. This is where the old frequency leaves your field. Imagine exhaling smoke, dense, dark, dissolving into gold dust. You are releasing thought, memory, and emotional residue. Step 4. Pause for 1 silent count. This is the rebirth. This is the alchemical zero, the moment where new rhythm emerges. Repeat this sequence for 3 cycles. 3. The trinity of transformation, body, mind, and spirit. Each repetition strengthens the rhythm of your field. Each breath transmutes more density into clarity. Each exhale makes anxiety impossible to hold, because breath is not relaxation, it is alchemy. You're not calming yourself, you're refining yourself. The process is real. Your brain waves shift from chaos to coherence, your heart enters resonance, and your energy begins to shine in harmonic frequency. This is not a metaphor. It's measurable. But the Hermetists didn't need instruments. They could feel it. And so can you. Right now. Breathe again. 4, 7, 8. Hold. Listen. That subtle pulse under your sternum? That's not heartbeat. That's transmutation. The modern mind calls it calming down. But the Hermeticist calls it transmutation of vibration. Because what you call anxiety is only energy. Dense, unprocessed, chaotic energy. When you breathe consciously, you don't fight it. You cook it. You place it in the inner furnace. You turn fear into fire. And that fire becomes light. Every inhale draws in raw material. The chaos, the tension, the distortion. Every exhale releases its refined essence. Clarity, rhythm, peace. This is the true work of the alchemist. Not to escape emotion, but to metabolize it. Your lungs are the athanor, the sacred furnace of transformation. Anxiety enters as lead. Breath transforms it into gold. When you master the breath, you no longer cope with anxiety. You dissolve it at its source before it reaches thought. This is why the Hermetic texts say, the mind obeys the rhythm of breath, and the breath obeys the command of consciousness. You are consciousness, and your command begins here, right now. This breath. Inhale with awareness. Exhale with intention. Say silently, inhale clarity. Exhale illusion. This is not a mantra. It's a spell of alignment. Every repetition carves a new rhythm into your nervous system, and soon, the body no longer needs to remember, because it becomes the rhythm itself. You become the breath, and in that moment, anxiety ceases to exist, because it cannot touch what vibrates in perfect harmony. If this fire has awakened within you, If even one breath felt different, write it. Declare your initiation in the comments. I breathe with the universe. It's not a phrase, it's a seal. Each declaration strengthens the field. You are not writing for me. You are writing for the unseen network of minds awakening right now, finding this same code, this same breath, across the planet. The algorithm didn't bring you here. Resonance did. Write it. Anchor it. You are part of the return. Now I stay still. You'll notice something. The air feels thicker, the silence heavier, the body warmer. That's coherence forming. That's the vibration stabilizing around you. You're not imagining it. You're witnessing alchemy. The breath has turned into light, and that light has begun to circulate. It moves from your chest to your hands, from your spine to your crown, until it fills every cell. This is the coagula, the reassembly of self at higher vibration. You are not calmer. You are reborn. Now breathe once more, with the awareness that you are breathing consciousness itself. That is the alchemical breath, the secret the ancients hid in plain sight, encoded not in words, but in rhythm. The fire has done its work. The metal has been purified. But what now? After the chaos dissolves and the mind clears, the next challenge arises: how to remain balanced between the tides of life. Next, we enter the heart of equilibrium itself, the inner balance. Every law has a center, even rhythm, even vibration. Between every inhale and exhale, there is stillness. That stillness is not absence, it's presence condensed. It's the eye of the storm. The Hermeticists called it the point of equilibrium, the place where polarity dissolves, where the pendulum of emotion stops swinging, not because it's frozen, but because it's mastered. When you arrive there, you no longer chase expansion, and you no longer fear contraction. You breathe, and in that breath everything returns to balance. Imagine yourself standing in the middle of the ocean. Waves rise and fall around you, but you are the axis. The tides no longer control you, they revolve around you. That is inner equilibrium. Every conscious breath brings you closer to that axis. It's the exact point where rhythm becomes silence, where vibration becomes awareness. You have felt it before, that instant after an exhale, before the next inhale begins. That soft pause that feels like eternity. Stay there longer. That's where the soul resets. That's where all things align. You don't need to create peace. You just need to stop interrupting it, because peace was never gone. You were simply breathing over it. Look closely. Your mind moves like a pendulum, past and future, desire and fear, control and surrender, always swinging. But when you breathe in rhythm, the swing slows, not because you stop it, but because you transcend it. The Hermetic law of rhythm doesn't vanish, it's integrated. The master doesn't destroy motion. He rides it until he becomes the center of it. This is why the Hermetists meditated on the breath, not to escape the world, but to command its rhythm from within. You can test it now. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly. Feel the pendulum move forward. Exhale slowly. Feel it move back. Now, stay in the pause. That pause is neutrality. You'll feel the swing slowing, the thoughts dissolving, the pressure lifting. It's as if your body forgets gravity for a moment. That's what happens when you align your inner rhythm with universal balance. You stop being the pendulum. You become the axis. And from the axis, everything obeys your vibration. This is the real meaning of mental mastery. Not to suppress emotion, but to become the still point in the middle of all motion. The Hermetic text said, "Balance is not the absence of duality, but the awareness that transcends both." When you dwell in this awareness, life doesn't stop being challenging. It just stops being chaotic, because you've remembered the rhythm behind every event, the inhale of life, the exhale of time, the pause of eternity. The ancient adepts practiced a simple ritual, the neutral breath, not deep, not shallow, just balanced, like a wave that has found its natural depth. They would breathe evenly, in for 4, out for 4, until their energy field began to hum with symmetry. That hum is the sound of equilibrium. It's not silence, it's coherence. It's the same frequency that moves the planets, the same vibration found in heart resonance. When your inner rhythm reaches this symmetry, something extraordinary happens. Your external world starts to mirror it. The people around you begin to calm. The energy in your environment stabilizes. Opportunities align effortlessly. Because coherence doesn't attract, it organizes, and that organization begins inside your breath. The secret of hermetic equilibrium is this: when the breath is balanced, the mind obeys. When the mind is balanced, reality aligns. You no longer need to manifest. You simply resonate. The true magician doesn't control outcomes, he controls rhythm, and reality follows. So now breathe with symmetry. In for 4, out for 4. No effort, no intention, just rhythm. This is the breathing of the masters. This is the still presence. Stay here long enough and anxiety becomes unrecognizable. Because your frequency no longer matches it. The temple breathes with you now. If you're ready to deepen this practice, the next step is waiting below. Download the guided hermetic breathing ritual, a sequence designed to anchor this equilibrium into your daily rhythm. It's not just an exercise, it's the continuation of this initiation. Follow the link in the pinned comment. This is where theory becomes power. And from here, you never go back to breathing unconsciously again. Now place a hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. Notice how it's no longer racing. That is not coincidence. That is rhythm restored. Your heart has remembered what the mind forgot. Its natural tempo, the pulse of harmony. When the heart and breath synchronize, a frequency called heart coherence emerges. It's the biological expression of the hermetic law of rhythm. It's the body and the cosmos vibrating in unison. This is the state the alchemists sought. Not ecstasy, but equilibrium. Because in equilibrium, awareness expands infinitely. The mind stops contracting into thought. It becomes spacious. Like sky, the body becomes a temple. Each breath, an offering. Each heartbeat, a mantra. This is not transcendence. It's embodiment. The spirit finally descends into matter fully because matter has become still enough to hold it. You can live like this, breathing as presence, acting from stillness, speaking from coherence. This is what it means to be aligned. The modern world calls it calm, but the ancients knew the truth. This is sovereignty. When you master the breath, you master the pulse of existence. You are no longer a fragment of the storm. You are the rhythm that commands it. Equilibrium is not the end. It's the doorway. Because once stillness is mastered, you must carry it into movement, into noise, into the everyday world. The next step is the true test of mastery, the practice of presence. The silence is beautiful here, isn't it? But silence means nothing if it dies the moment the world speaks. The true initiation begins not in solitude, but in noise. Anyone can breathe deeply in a quiet room. But can you breathe when your phone won't stop vibrating? Can you breathe when traffic screams? When the deadlines close in and the algorithm whispers, "Don't stop scrolling"? This is where practice becomes power. The hermetic path was never about escape. It was about sovereignty, the ability to remain centered in the storm, to carry the temple within you wherever you go. The world will test your rhythm. It will push, pull, provoke. But every challenge is simply a pulse, an invitation to remember your breath. When someone shouts, breathe. When the news floods your feed, breathe. When the mind starts to spin, breathe. Not to run from the world, but to reclaim it through rhythm. Because every conscious inhale reclaims territory from the unconscious machine. Presence is not retreat, it's resistance. The most radical act in a distracted age is to breathe with awareness. That is rebellion. That is power. To master presence, you need rhythm and time. The ancients called it the triple breath, 3 sacred pauses that divide the day into moments of remembrance. The first breath, morning, before touching your phone, before remembering your name. Inhale once, slowly. Exhale twice as long. Whisper silently, "Today, I breathe consciously." This is the sealing of your frequency for the day. The second breath, midday, when your mind is full, when your focus begins to fragment. Step away even for 60 seconds. Close your eyes. Inhale rhythm. Exhale noise. In those few seconds, the field resets. Your coherence returns. The third breath, night, before you surrender to sleep. The last conscious act of the day must be presence. Breathe in gratitude for what stayed, for what left, for what transformed. Exhale everything else. Leave no residue in the field. Sleep as one who has dissolved. These 3 moments are not habits. They are rituals of command. They keep your rhythm alive inside the machinery of time. If you do this for 7 days, you will feel it. Your reality begins to breathe with you. Synchronicities appear. People respond differently. Opportunities match your calm instead of your chaos. Because your frequency leads and life follows. That is what it means to live hermetically. Not above the world, but within it, breathing through it. There is a sound inside you, a subtle click, like a metronome. It's the beat of awareness, a pulse that never stops even when your attention drifts. You can find it anytime. Close your eyes. Listen beneath thought. It's there, a steady rhythm that says, you are here. Every time you reconnect with that pulse, the external chaos loses its control, because the metronome inside you is older than anxiety. It's the first rhythm you ever heard, the heartbeat of the universe echoing through your mother's body. That sound is your origin, and presence is your way back to it. You don't need mantras, you don't need control, just rhythm. When you walk, let your steps breathe. When you speak, let your words breathe. When you think, let your thoughts breathe. Everything that breathes lives. Everything that breathes harmonizes. Your life will begin to feel different, not lighter but clearer, not slower but more precise. Because when you live in rhythm, you don't waste energy on reaction. You act from resonance. You move from center. That is hermetic presence, the art of breathing through reality itself. If you've reached this point, you already know. This isn't content. This is initiation. If this breath found you, it means you're part of the same field, the quiet current of consciousness that is awakening across the planet. Stay with it. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because this path isn't a series, it's a sequence. Every code builds upon the last. Each video another inhale in the great rhythm of awakening. And if you've felt the stillness rise within you, share this breath forward. The world doesn't need louder voices, it needs coherent ones. You've learned to breathe in silence. You've learned to breathe through fire. Now you must learn to breathe in motion. When you walk through a crowd, remember, you're walking through fields of vibration. Each thought you have radiates outward. Each breath you take stabilizes the invisible. This world is not separate from your inner state. The Hermetic law says, as within, so without. As the breath, so the world. When you breathe with awareness, you realign not only your mind, but the collective rhythm around you. Because coherence spreads, every conscious breath becomes a signal, and those who are ready will feel it. That's how the invisible community forms, not through words, but through resonance. This is the living temple of the Emerald Code, a network of minds breathing the same silent law, each one holding the rhythm, each one anchoring balance in a world addicted to noise. You are now part of that pulse, and your task is simple. Breathe wherever you are, in traffic, in tension, in routine. Your breath is your altar. Your presence is your prayer. Presence is the bridge, but not the destination. There is one more step. When the breath becomes light, when silence turns golden, you'll understand what the Hermetists meant by illumination. Next, we enter the final threshold, the golden breath. Every breath you've taken until now has been a rehearsal. For this one, inhale slowly, and as you do, imagine the air turning to gold. Feel it touch your lungs, then dissolve into every cell. This is not visualization, it's remembrance. You are not bringing light in. You are uncovering the light that was already breathing through you. In the language of the Hermetists, this is the moment of rubedo, the final stage of the great work, when the purified matter turns to light. You began this journey trapped in the labyrinth of anxiety, but the labyrinth was never your prison. It was your initiation chamber. Each shallow breath was an unanswered question, each conscious breath, a key. And now the final door opens, the one that leads not out, but inward. The air you breathe is the same that once moved through stars, the same that filled the lungs of every being before you, the same that still moves through galaxies. When you breathe consciously, you participate in the respiration of the cosmos itself. You and the universe share the same lungs. And when awareness fuses with that truth, the breath becomes light. That light is gold. It's not a color, it's a frequency. It's the vibration of pure coherence. It's what the Hermetic masters called spiritus aureus, the golden breath. Every inhale illuminates your inner world. Every exhale illuminates the outer one. There is no separation anymore. You are now the alchemist and the gold, the fire and the breath, the student and the principle. What began as effort has become flow. You no longer practice the breath practices you. That is the highest hermetic truth. When the seeker disappears, only rhythm remains. You breathe, and the breath breathes the universe. You think, and the thought ripples across dimensions. You are no longer a fragment observing reality. You are the vibration that creates it. This is illumination, not as idea, but as physics. Consciousness vibrating in coherence until it radiates visibly as presence. This is why the ancients depicted saints and sages with halos. It wasn't symbolic. It was resonance made visible. The light you see around them is the geometry of a field in perfect rhythm. You can feel it now, can't you? That still vibration under your skin, not moving, but glowing. That is the golden breath expanding. It no longer needs instruction. It no longer needs control. It simply is. You are no longer seeking balance, and you have become balance. Listen, there's a sound behind your heartbeat now, a rhythm both ancient and familiar. It's the same pulse that moves galaxies, the same oscillation that formed atoms, the same vibration that became you. Every inhale echoes the expansion of the universe. Every exhale, its return to origin. And in between, that pause, that sacred moment where everything and nothing coexist, that is God breathing. When you breathe consciously, you're not practicing a technique. You are participating in creation itself. The anxiety that once defined you is gone, not because you healed, but because you remembered. You remembered that the storm was rhythm, that fear was vibration, that silence was not void but structure. You remembered that the breath is the bridge between the mortal and the infinite. That remembrance is illumination. Now you see why the Hermetic texts called air the soul of the world. It connects all beings, transmitting rhythm, knowledge, memory. And if you can listen closely, you'll feel it whisper, you are not breathing the world. The world is breathing you. That realization dissolves the illusion of separation completely. You are not a body learning to breathe. You are breath learning to be human. If you made it this far, it means something ancient has reawakened in you. This is not the end. This is your next inhale. If this video awakened something in you, even for a moment, declare it in the comments. I breathe with the universe. That sentence is not a phrase, it's a seal. Each word anchors your frequency into this living field of awakened minds. If you stop now, the illusion wins. But if you continue, if you follow the next code, the spiral opens. Because Hermetic transformation is not a concept, it's a rhythm, and rhythm never ends. So take one more breath, slow, aware, complete. Let the air enter as light. Exhale, release everything that isn't real. And remember, this is not an ending. It's the next threshold. The next code is already waiting. The next breath is yours. Now do nothing. Don't seek, don't name, don't move. The work is done, the furnace cools, the gold rests. You've walked through noise, through chaos, through flame, and arrived where the Hermetic path always leads. The still point where silence breathes and breathing is awareness. This is the eternal rhythm. No beginning, no end, only expansion and return. And as you sit in this golden silence, remember, you didn't learn how to breathe. You remembered what you are: breath, light, rhythm, law.